I'm supposed to get married to my fiance in 2 days, and I don't know if I should call it off. I'll try to make this short while I cry of sadness. I've been dating this guy since June of 2022, and in September of that same year, he asked me to be his girlfriend, and this past April, he asked me to marry him. So we've been engaged since then, and he came to Hawaii with his mom and dad, and with my mom and dad, my sister, and best friend. 90% of the time, he's a calm person. He opens the door of the car for me, kisses me every morning and every night. He's a gentleman and a very loyal and honest person. The other 10%, when we fight, he insults me. Fake, know it all, psycho, piece of shit, you don't give a shit about me, this relationship is a joke, and etc. Yesterday was our first day in Hawaii, and in two different occasions, his behavior in front of everyone in the table was intense and out of line. He started yelling just because we disagreed that not all Italians hate Americans. I'm from South America, and so it's my family, and he's from the US, but we all currently live in the US. And then at some point, my sister's boyfriend was like, it's always greener on the other side. And he started getting very passionate and saying, nope, it's not always greener. You're mistaken. Anyway, the whole conversation in the table was uncomfortable because he was way too intense. Even his mom told him to calm down. Then we went to the car and I asked him nicely to please chill and that his attitude made me uncomfortable. He started yelling at me saying I'm dramatic and overreacting because that's his personality. A couple of people from the resort asked me if I was okay after they saw the whole scene. Because by the way, he doesn't care about making scenes anywhere we are. He will yell and raise his voice whenever we are in public anytime we get into an argument. Anyways, that went away and he apologized to my sister's boyfriend and told him that's usually how he speaks to all of his friends. That is not an apology. After that, we were all at the beach, my part of the family and him, and his mom and dad were at the grocery store. We didn't check in our rooms yet because the room wasn't ready, but after hanging out at the beach for like an hour, he was ready to go, and I said, but your mom isn't here yet, we can chill a little longer. He got all stressed out and said he wanted to go to the room and started getting ready to go to Waikiki downtown and that everyone should do that. He was very pushy and also yelled again and got intense with the group and made us all leave and change so we can go to downtown. I told him when we were alone that he was being rude and pushy again and that he should apologize. After convincing him for a while that he was being rude out there, he texted my sister and her boyfriend again saying, sorry I was all intense. Every time during this time of the year when my birthday is coming, I get emotional because I remember my sister, and that's not an excuse, but I'm just not in the best place. By the way, he lost his sister 6 years ago. He was 23 and his sister was 10. This isn't the first time he yells and behaves incorrectly and uses his sister as the motive for it. Then we were in the car with my mom and he wanted to apologize to my mom too, and this is where shit got ugly. He apologized to my mom and says how he wishes his sister was here in these important moments and that he is sorry for everything from today. And then my mom says, okay, your apologies are accepted, but please don't use your sister as an excuse. Respect her memory. She also said the way she respects my dad's memory is by always trying to be happy around the people she loves, because she knows he wouldn't want to see her cry every day or yell at us or anything like that. So that's the way she deals with my father's death. Then my fiance said, you don't know anything about my sister or myself and I can get to feel however I want. Things kept getting heated and more yelling started happening and he started yelling very loudly. Don't talk about my sister, you don't know shit. Started giving my mom crazy eyes and pointing at her, completely disrespected somebody that's in her 60s. Then my mom just left the car, and after an hour of me trying to explain to my fiance that what he did was wrong, he said, okay, I will apologize to her. Then I call my mom and she's crying and she's like, I'm sorry, I don't want his apologies. This went too far. He also insulted me multiple times. I told my fiance, even if my mom was wrong, you could have just talked to her instead of started yelling and cursing at her. My wedding is supposed to be 2 days here in Hawaii, and my mom was supposed to give us the rings. This morning, she texted me saying that she loves me and that I can do whatever I decided to do, but she won't give me the rings and won't accept his apologies, and if I do marry him, she will stand there to support me. But after that, when we go back home, she won't be close to him and will try to avoid talking to him from now on because her perspectives of him has changed completely. I truly don't know what to do. I need an outsider's perspective. Should I marry this man? She has a small update. She goes, update. I've left the room and I'm now with my mom and my sister. Oh, what? She has another update. I canceled the wedding. I apologized to my mom for letting him speak to her like that. Even though I was telling him to stop, I could have been more serious about it. His mom understands my position and respects my decision. I'm really sad, but somehow I feel relief as well. I will try to enjoy the rest of this trip with my family and try to get past this. My mom is also relieved that I made this decision. My whole family is. This man needs therapy. He has a lot of grief that he needs to compartmentalize.
Am I wrong for not being comfortable with my husband being friends with his female coworker? His coworker, female 24, will call her Debbie. Started working with my husband, male 35, we'll call him Charlie, 2 years ago. Last September, I met her for the first time at a wedding of 2 of their coworkers. She sat behind us. The girl getting married doesn't like my husband, but he's on the same shift and the whole shift was invited to the wedding. The girl getting married had called Charlie a snake to Debbie in casual conversation. They're not friends and Charlie is generally a good person, in my opinion, so that's not a red flag to me. Debbie told Charlie about this, so at this point it's a running inside joke that I was privy to. Charlie texts Debbie, snake, and Debbie mouths, stop, all flirty. I did think it was flirty, but thought that it just may be her personality. Fast forward to the shift Christmas party last year. We've been hosting shift Christmas parties at our house for 2 years. The whole shift was there, but Debbie brings her twin sister as her +1. One thing about her job is that it's a male-dominated field, but I'm friends with a few of the coworkers' wives. So during the party, all the women were hanging out, except Debbie and her twin sister. She was hanging out with the guys. I assumed it was because she didn't really know most of the women. No big deal. But the next day, she sends Charlie a couple of photos that she snapped of him without his knowledge. The photos were accompanied by a text that said, "Why did I take these? LOL." He showed me this in his response, which was pretty PG, but I did remark something along the lines of, "LOL, I think she has a crush on you." He just brushed that off. Fast forward to February. His coworkers are all in their 20s and they convinced Charlie to get a Snapchat. I've never been a fan of Snapchat, and Charlie has never had any form of social media. After he gets Snapchat, I notice he's on his phone a lot more. I'm naturally a nosy person and realize that it's a flaw of mine, so I notice that he's beginning to talk about Debbie more, and I start questioning who he's chatting with. One thing I notice is that every single time he works overtime, she snaps him and asks him if he's working, or she'll ask if he worked the next day. I tell him that she's starting to make me uncomfortable. He brushes that off. March. We go to a new coworker's house on Wednesday night for dinner party. None of the wives that I'm friends with are there. I also have to work on Thursday and no one else does. Before we go to the party, we discuss leaving at a reasonable time. At 9:45 p.m., I ask him what time we're leaving. He hee-haws around and I immediately get frustrated and walk off. He gets mad and decides that he's staying as late as he wants. I keep asking when we're leaving and reminding him that I have work. I spend the rest of the night crying on the couch in a stranger's house. 4 people come and check on me. Charlie and Debbie never do, and I can see them sitting beside each other outside. We end up leaving the party around 1:30 in the morning. May. We go to a hot air balloon festival an hour from home. He tells her where we are and asks her to meet up. I'm really not privy to this conversation except that I asked him who he was talking to and it was her. We get in an argument and leave before she arrives, and then he tells me that that's what they were talking about. We go to London for vacation and we're arriving back in the States for our anniversary. I post a super cute slideshow. Debbie sees it. Debbie then snaps Charlie about someone breaking into her car. I express that I think it's weird. August. Charlie says that he stopped talking to Debbie because it made me upset. He's been distancing from me for a few months though, so I still have a gut feeling that something isn't right. He got a new phone in July, but saved his old phone. I let my intrusive thoughts win and I look at his old phone. Charlie and Debbie talked on the phone for 45 minutes while I was at work and they were both off work. I log into Charlie's TikTok account. He sent her a video from Barstool Sports of a girl telling the guy, "I have a crush on you," and the guy reacting really good to it. 2 days before he sent that video, Debbie reposts one saying, "When you're trying to go to sleep, all you can think about is wanting him in your bed." 2 days after he sent her the crush video, she reposts a video that says, "The most confusing place you can be is knowing you have a connection with someone but you're not officially together, but you're more than friends." I confront him and I tell him that this is an inappropriate relationship. After I confront him, she deletes her videos. He claims that he didn't talk to her about it and still maintains that they stopped talking. Now last week, I decided to check his Snapchat and his old phone because I'm still having a gut feeling. They've been #1 BFFs on Snapchat for at least 2 weeks. They talk every single day. She sends him a pic of herself in her pajamas. "Now I'm in my PJs, LOL," while I'm looking. It wasn't risque, but I have never once sent any of my male friends a selfie of myself, much less in my pajamas. I tell him that I'm not comfortable with their friendship and I would like him to stop being friends with her. Side note, we're in couples therapy as well. During the fight, he tells me that he likes having friends. I have no problem with any of his other friends. I asked him why he lied and said he stopped talking to her. He said because he knew I didn't like it. I feel like I can no longer trust him, and he basically told me that he would rather be friends with her than married to me. I have asked all my friends if I'm overreacting and all of them have told me to leave him. We've been married for 13 years and together for a total of 15 years.
If a woman's telling you about a horrible relationship she was in and telling you about the horrible things that happened in said relationship, and you think to yourself, wow, I would never stand for that, I would just leave. And why didn't she leave? She seems like such a strong woman. Why didn't she leave? And you open your mouth to say any of those things, might I recommend that you just not? Might I recommend that you say literally anything else? Might I recommend that you shut the hell up? Some appropriate options of what you could say might include, wow, that's awful that happened to you. That's horrible. You didn't deserve that. That really sucks. But one thing we're not doing in 2023, the year of our Lord and Saviors Beyonce, Barbie, and Taylor Swift, is looking women dead in the eyes and saying, why didn't you leave? If you have to know, if the question is eating away at you and you're thinking, why didn't she leave this relationship, then you can actually book time with a therapist. You don't have to commit to full-time therapy. You can book one session and go in and say, why? Why don't women leave these horrible relationships, and make it somebody else's problem?